to another SourceFuse Talking Out Cloud, our leadership chat series. And in today's conversation, we'll be talking about the importance of digital transformation in the financial services sector and how cloud technology plays a part in the future of FinTech. My name is Liz Grint, Marketing Manager here at SourceFuse. And if you're unfamiliar with SourceFuse, we have 17 years deep expertise and industry knowledge and are committed to digital innovation, service excellence, and customer success. And in relation to today's topic, we're really pleased to be joined by someone with a wealth of experience in the financial sector who can share their unique insights with digital transformation and application modernization. And that is Dnyaneshwar Gaikwad, Executive Vice President at Edelweiss Financial Services Limited. Welcome, Danny.
Hi.
So to kick us off, Danny, would you like to briefly describe your background and experience, especially in relation to digital transformation or modernization?
As far as the digital transformation or app modernization is concerned, we have been early adopters of public cloud, and we have completed the first two critical phases of the public cloud journey, that is setting up the data center ecosystem on the cloud and migrating workload from your on-premises data center to the cloud. So these two phases are completed, and currently we have been modernizing the applications that have been lifted and shifted to the cloud, and we have been able to do completed successfully few application modernization using the cloud native and services and the architectures. So that's a brief about me, Liz.
Fabulous. Thanks, Danny. Great intro. SourceFuse has built several cloud native applications for the finance industry, but why do you think legacy app modernization is gaining ground in the financial sector?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, any disruption that starts, I think it starts with the BFSI sector, because everybody knows that BFSI has the budget spent and they have that appetite for the innovation and experiment, right? So I would like to, answer this in 2 or 3 areas. First is basically the incumbents, the big financial services organizations in the finance industry wants to adopt the agility that the fintechs offer due to the new age architectures and the latest technologies that are available today, such as an API gateways for data exchanges, using AI ML for analytics, and at the same time continue with the enterprise processes that make them mature and rock solid, right? So they want to have the agility, and they also want to enjoy the maturity at the same time. So this is the one reason why people want to do the digital transformation or app modernization journey. Second is basically the whole the game is now around the data, and each and every organization now wants to use efficient use of the data, and basically to make the data driven decisions, right? For example, you want to run a targeted market campaign or rather running a predictive analytics to forecast sales and growth numbers and stuff like that, right? People now want to use this data very efficiently, which earlier largely based on the gut of a senior leadership team. And third one is basically businesses now wants to create new revenue streams by offering a new age products and services, making them more personalized, customized for an individual, rather than selling the same old product and service to the customer. That was the third reason. And fourth is, and very important of all, is to reduce the cost of doing the business. Yeah, I think that is the major objective that they want to achieve by doing this modernization stuff, is basically the cost that they spend for acquiring a new customer, or the loan overheads that the financial sectors run today, or basically the cost of intermediaries that are there, which is also a huge cost. So they want to optimize this cost as far as possible and reduce the cost of doing business in the financial sector. I think these are 3, 4 reasons why I feel people are moving towards the app modernization journey.
Yeah, so very data oriented, getting the data into one place and then making that data work for you. What stories can it tell, and then how you can optimize the business. So yeah, really good. So coming on to risks and challenges, I mean, in your experience, what have you seen as some of the typical business risks and challenges associated with that sort of application modernization?
Okay, so I mean, challenges would remain same for as you enter into a new arena, right? And that remains there. But with respect to app modernization, I think this is what I have noticed personally, apart from the challenges which are generic in the nature. First thing first is basically we or the organizations run a very big supply chain risk here. And what I mean by supply chain risk is basically the modernized app ecosystem today that we have does not run in a silo mode. Okay, it's all interconnected with multiple service providers. They have interdependencies, right? The ecosystem is modular. I mean, when you do app modernization, it's a modular in approach, but because of this interdependency, it becomes complex. So risks like security, risks like availability of the service, okay, they will become much more common is what I feel. That this is what I feel as the biggest risk that I foresee. Second is keeping the pace with the regulators and the government agencies, norms and circulars that they send from time to time, because businesses want agility, and the technology will always be ahead of the regulators and the government agencies, right? So because they are ahead and they are adopting it quick, they are ever evolving. So complying with these regulatory norms and explaining stuff during their regulatory audits, it will need to be little more understood well. I think it needs a little more focus than what it used to be. So these are the two big risks that I see, apart from the generic risks, right, that are there. And in terms of challenges, I think I feel change management or transitioning customer to a new age app is one of the challenges that I personally observe, because taking a banking example here, right? So today, a old age banking customer wants to go to a branch and do the transactions. Uh, the generation after that would like to use the old website, archaic websites. The current Z generation wants to use the new mobile app, right? So the channels that are there today to offer services, banks or other, for example, any financial services, they have to keep all these channels live, right? And moving customer from channel A to channel B to channel C is kind of a task for them. So bringing all of them to a modernized platform is going to take some time. Obviously, it will be done with the time, but this is a challenge today. So you see any financial services organization, you will have all the digital traditional channels as well as digital channels available for people to transact, right? Even if you see their hierarchy within the organization, you will have a digital hierarchy separate, and you will have a traditional system running hierarchy separate. So basically, one does all the modernized stuff, one does keeping the light on for the old applications. So that's how they are operating today. And obviously, they at some point in time they have to merge together and become one. So that change management and transition is I feel is one of the challenges. Second challenge, what I feel is shift in an organization's mindset, because many of and I'm giving this in Indian context, because many of these companies are they do not have this technology first mindset, right? And I feel that it should become part of the organization's culture. So like how you have governance and compliance, or for that matter, risk or a finance, deeply rooted and inculcate within the people, right? So when somebody has to think something about, they will think about cost first. or they will think about compliance first, they will think about risk first, but nobody thinks about technology first. Getting my point? So, and I think for that matter, US has solved this problem by hiring the tech educated CTOs or tech background CTOs to bring in that culture within the organization. So this shift in organization mindset is, I think, is the second challenge that I feel organization needs to be dealt with in an Indian context. Third thing with related to this modernized application is basically they will have a very limited shelf life, right? Because I've been in industry for 20 plus years now, and I have seen this whole journey where people used to build applications for decades, right? They used to build it for which will last for many years, right? Today, the way given the pace at which the technology is changing or the apps are becoming modernizing, I think it's ever evolving field, right? So keeping the up to date stuff will be a challenge for an organization, because they will constantly build, deploy, rebuild, deploy, and it is a constant cycle. So today I don't know what kind of technology will come after 2 years, and whether the app that I'm building, or the kind of resources that I'm putting in this app to sustain will be able to use that in the future, right? So visibility is low here, and hence the life of an application, modernized application, will be limited. That's the second challenge that I think organizations will have to uh, go through. So this is what I have to say on the challenges and the risk side.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, it is quite a minefield, isn't it, when you think how fast technology is advancing, and we still have an aging population as well. So crossing all those age groups is a big challenge. But Danny, I know you had a very successful project, and that thing that you mentioned about changing the mindset of the organization. How did you prepare the organization for this degree of transformation?
Okay, so you will little find me old school here, because I have seen a lot of ups and downs in an organization and in a personal career. So my suggestion, or then this is again my submission here, is first thing first is that you have to take baby steps, right? Changing something overnight approach looks little aggressive to me at this point, but I would prefer a balancing with a holistic viewpoint that would help organization hugely on the cost and labor side, and doing things haphazardly, right? And this will take organizations through a very steady transformation stage, which you can feel, which you're able to sustain, right? So taking baby steps is first thing for that. I think we have that approach is something which we have to inculcate. Secondly, I would like a top-down approach of a management. For example, the change has to be driven from the top, like from the board or the senior leadership in the organization. Otherwise, it will not become effective, right? And that change has to be strategic in nature. It cannot be transitional or operational, right? Because they are trying to change the culture of an organization. They want to bring in technology first mindset, right? They want to compete with all these fintech startups who are very agile. So the approach has to be top down, and it has to be strategic in nature. It cannot be only for creating some applications or some digital streams, bringing a new dimension altogether to the organization. So it has to be thought in that line. So unless and it is driven from the top, it becomes really difficult for people to adopt, as is what I feel. Third one is on the talent side, which I feel, I'm a very firm believer of this, because this is what I do. I think you will have to create an university to build a talent for your organization. And I bifurcate this talent into two categories. One is strategic, and the second one is obviously operational talent. So strategic talent is plenty in the market, because it's at a leadership level, and people know why and when to do it. right? But that's easily come to people. But I think there's a dearth of talent when it comes to execution level, when it operation level, right? So hence, I think we need to create an university internally that would build the operational talent by, let's say, upskilling or reskilling people or hiring interns and grooming them into industry specific roles. And today you must be hearing that factory model that people talk about, right? So, and why you need university? Because the roles are not constant. You are not building talent for next 10 years. Okay, you are building talent for next 2 years, 3 years, and by the time the talent actually produces the result, okay, the technology is changing and it changes into something else, and then obviously you have a no, new role that is created, and you will again need to backfill that role, right? So hence we don't know the future, we don't know how it will pan out. So hence create the talent internally and keep evolving and keep monitoring that and keep monitoring the outer landscape, and then balance. I think this will help people to quickly adapt to any skill gap that they have, because ultimately, unless until you have skills, you will not be able to deliver uh, the outcomes, right? So these are the I think 2 3 areas which I feel that one should be cognizant about when they are preparing themselves for the transformation. And obviously other technology challenges that the tech leaders know that obviously they will bring it to the table, but from a strategic perspective, this is how I think one should approach, is what I feel.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So a lot of moving pieces to pull together, but once you have the organization ready, you've got the people, you've got the skills, you've got the right mindset. You mentioned about taking those small steps and not doing an overnight sweep. So once the organization was ready, what was included during the first phase of your modernization strategy?
Oh, I mean, then it becomes really really simple game, because you laid the foundation. Now I think it is all about building blocks, and I think organization readiness and transformation, people feel that they are one after another, but they are not independent activities. They both will happen parallelly, right? Organization wants to transform, hence they need to be ready. It cannot be other way around, right? So I think the assessment is something which I would do the first, because I have to prepare for something. So unless until I know what I'm getting into, you don't know what you are getting into and you're preparing for it, right? So for assessment is something which I would go with. I would do a very thorough assessment of the need, the objectives, uh, where do I currently stand, the gaps, right? And once I have the data available with me, then obviously you have so much of resources available, right, in terms of money and labor and the time. So we will need to prioritize them basis the organization priorities, and then execute one by one. So this is a very simple methodical approach that I would personally take, or rather anybody would take, because this is very logical in nature.
Yeah, simple, methodical approach.
Yeah, simple. Yeah, don't make it complex.
Yeah. But what else did you do in order to feel really confident and 100% assured of a successful outcome? What other things were involved?
So see, we ourselves did a lot of study before we ventured into this cloud game or this app modernization or transformation game, right? So I think everybody needs to have that appetite or needs to put that effort to upskill in terms of latest technologies and the trends that are available, and how that would help to businesses. So we did a lot of study internally, and we also worked with a lot of partners like AWS, Azure, and likes of them, to understand uh, their approaches, and because they have been doing it for so many customers for so many years, so obviously they have learned over the period and they have matured it, right? So what is the process that they adopt, how they are doing it, when they are doing it, what is the outcome that they are getting? So we have done enough study internally first on all these aspects, and then we followed a very simple step process. Basically, first thing first is you need to build that whole ecosystem on the, because we are an enterprise, right? Edelweiss is a big enterprise, and we run many businesses. So our first and primary requirement is to build something which we have on premises, right? So the data center that we have and the whole ecosystem around the data center, the nuances that each data center has. So first, I think 6-7 months that we spent on building this whole ecosystem on the cloud, right? Which is like a data center. And there's a lot of help that has come from AWS and Azure on that area. Second thing that we did is basically we run the assessment internally to see what applications can be modernized, because lifting and shifting application to the cloud doesn't mean anything. It is going to only cost more money to you and pain to you, right? Because getting into something which is unknown. So rather than doing that, we decided to do an assessment of application that can be quickly modernized, low-hanging fruits, created some reference architectures, and did a POC with few of them, obviously. And once we knew that this is the workload that is to be taken to the cloud, and this is how it is likely to function on the cloud and in that ecosystem, then we obviously migrated that whole workload using lift and shift method to the cloud. And once we were there, we started modernizing the applications, basically using the cloud native services like your microservices and stuff like that. Right? And slowly and steadily, we converted those applications into a cloud native format, modernized them completely, the backend structures, the front ends of the applications. We still have few applications that are in the monolithic state, but we are in the process. So this is what we did. We built the first ecosystem in the cloud, run the assessment, did the reference architecture POCs, and then obviously slow and steady step to modernize them. So this is how we have ensured that we get at 100% assurance by modernizing the application. So it doesn't bother businesses, it doesn't bother the end user or a customer, and it also gives a peaceful time for internal technology teams.
Yeah, and they need that. But yeah, that was brilliant. Doing the homework, doing the groundwork, putting in the effort to do the research before you really sort of leap. Yeah. Well, lastly, Danny, I mean, you mentioned there you've got more than 20 years experience in this industry. So from your perspective, how do you think cloud technology is going to continue to shape the financial landscape?
Okay. So I mean, I'm personally doing a PhD in cloud economics. So while doing that, writing the thesis, this is what I've discovered. So finance and cloud, they have a lot of similarities. They are not different. The names will be different, but in terms of why they are invented or the objective of these two terms that are there, mostly similar objectives that they have. So basically, they have invented from the perspective of optimizing the resources, right? That we have, because we have only so much resources available in this whole world. So to optimize resources for organization and generate more output for a lesser input is the objective of finance also, and it's objective for cloud as well. Correct. I'm talking a larger perspective, or not getting into the nuances of it, because one is tech and one is finance. Obviously, they are completely two different ends. But if you see a larger picture, I think this is what you will get it. So hence they complement each other. They don't fight against each other. People feel that it is expensive. Some people feel that no, my on-premise data center was better. That's not there. They complement each other. They both are there to optimize resources for you, and it is up to you how you use them. And it is left to human intelligence to decide how do you want to leverage these resources. Correct. So because cloud fuels innovation, finance also fuels innovation, because any innovation, you need money, right? You can't, without money you can't do an innovation, right? You have to spend some dollars for that, right? Because ultimately that innovation is going to give the edge to businesses. Secondly, cloud brings agility. And all the big businesses today in the financial service sector wants that agility like a startup. They want to operate like a startup, but they are not able to do. Cloud gives that agility to them. So, in my opinion, most of these financial market problems will get addressed by cloud in some way or form. They will not completely go away, but most of it will get addressed by a cloud because of new product or services, new digital channels, new age technologies, the way they will optimize the cost for businesses, the way it will bring down the cost of doing business for businesses, right? So I think hence my uh, my submission here is that it is going to disrupt the financial services landscape. And obviously, we have been seeing that trend, and I think that trend will continue for coming years.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I mean, you've got such a lot of experience and you gave us a real flavor of that today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure is mine.
And thanks as well to our audience for watching. Make sure you like and share the video, catch up with all of our previous chats, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss the next Talking Out Cloud with SourceFuse.